It's the e-commerce minute, your daily dose of e-commerce, tech, and retail news with your hosts Bart Mraz and John Suter. The e-commerce minute is a production of Sumo Heavy, a digital commerce consulting firm in Brooklyn, New York, and Philadelphia. Find us on the web at sumoheavy.com. Welcome back to a special episode of the e-commerce minute. It's the debut of season 3. Season 3. It's hard to believe. 3 whole seasons. We've actually been on hiatus for the holiday break, but we're back, rested and ready. Well, I'm neither rested nor ready. As you can probably hear, I came down with some sort of sinus head cold on New Year's Day, which can be perfect timing or awful timing depending on your point of view. Head cold really could have messed up my holiday, but at least I would have had time to rest and recoup. But having a head cold now is zero fun, especially when you have to read into a microphone for a living. But I suffer for my art and will soldier on. How was your holiday break, Bart?
Well, first of all, John, Happy New Year, buddy.
A happy New Year to you, sir. We haven't really spoken. I haven't talked to you since December 22nd.
Yeah. Also, you now have a really, really sexy radio voice.
Yes, thank you. Let's talk about ED medication, shall we, fellas?
Well, mine was a little different there. I was in Miami for New Year's. I mean, family stuff, and then Miami for New Year's, which is kind of interesting in itself because it's warm. And there's nothing like standing in water on December 31st or January 1st, especially when we live up in Northeast.
I've done that. I was in Florida for the turn of the century, waiting for the world to end. I figured what better place to be than in Florida.
And I actually got engaged at midnight on the beach with the fireworks going off everywhere.
Big news, ladies and gentlemen. Bart Mraz is off the market, ladies. Sorry.
Yep, I got taken.
He's off the market. So have you guys, you crazy kids, set a date, or are you still basking in
that is, yeah. Everybody has that question, by the way, which is really strange, especially on the first day.
Yeah, especially since you just got over the shock of will she say yes or no?
Right, and then she got over the shock of you being asked, and then everybody's like, "When is it?" You're like, "I don't know."
How old are your children now?
Are you dying now? Who knows? Anyway.
So that's pretty awesome. Got engaged in Miami. It's a great way to kick off a year. I'm kicking it off with a head cold and some other nonsense going on. But hey, like I said, I suffer for my art. So as I said at the top of the show, it's a brand new season, season 3. Is the new theme song ready? Did we get the rights from Black Sabbath, or are we still waiting on that?
Or we just make our own.
Yeah, we'll just make our own. And new characters. We don't have any new characters. I thought we'd have some new characters on the show, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, we have some great ideas coming up for the podcast. Like I said, this is a special edition. We're not really going to cover any news topics. We're going to talk about some podcasts, take care of some business, and then look forward to some of the trends for 2019. So one big question we have is, who are our listeners? Came up with this idea. We're going to send out a listener survey because we can look at stats all day long, but we really don't know. We know how many listeners we have, and I certainly know that there's someone that gets up. There's a handful of you guys that get up and listen to the podcast probably on your morning commute. And based on that, I started posting the podcast earlier. It now posts at 4 a.m. each day as opposed to 6, because I know by the stats there's like 30 of you that listen to this, I guess, in your car on the way to work. I'm making an assumption, and the rest of our listeners seem to come, and the view counts, the listen counts seem to grow, not on the same day it's posted, but a day or two or even a week after. So that was pretty interesting. But we'd love to get to know who our listeners are and what kind of stuff you guys want to hear, what kind of topics you want us to cover, what you like about the podcast, what you don't. So you can look out for that soon. We'll announce that on the podcast, or you can just go check our blog, ecommerceminute.co/blog. If you want to get in touch right away, if you have any specific feedback you want to give us, do not hesitate. We are on the social medias at Sumo Heavy. You can find us everywhere there. And the social medias.
That's a new one to that.
The social medias. And hopefully with the survey, we'll pick some random respondents and give out some cool prizes. And if we don't have any cool prizes, maybe just some autograph headshots of me. Who knows? Some other business to take care of. On the business end, you'll notice, depending on the platform that you're listening to, we've started to include some sponsor ads. We messed around with some sponsorships earlier in season 2 and some in season 1. That was sort of like through a mutual partnership, and that kind of landed in our laps. We started doing some sponsor ads via the Anchor platform. But what has happened since then, we've been approached to actually get our show sponsored, get an exclusive sponsorship. So starting this month, we're pleased to announce that we've secured an exclusive sponsor for 2019. Can I say who it is, Bart?
Well, I'm going to say it. The exclusive sponsor for eCommerce Minute in 2019 is Pitney Bowes.
Pitney Bowes, ladies and gentlemen. So what does that mean for you, dear listeners? Well, you'll be hearing some of our sponsor ads in the podcast. You'll be seeing the Pitney Bowes logo on some of our social media and also on our website, ecommerceminute.co. What this means for us, it gives us some breathing room to offset some of the costs associated with putting together the podcast, which strictly from my point of view is awesome because I'm not sure anyone realizes the time associated with putting together a daily news podcast. And hopefully with some of the leftover money, maybe we can Bart a pair of those platform shoes, the ones with the goldfish in the bottom. I know, Bart, you've had your eye on those for a long time.
Oh, I have. I want them. I would like to wear them to meetings.
I want you to wear them to all the conferences. I want you to wear that to Magento Imagine this year in Vegas. You're going to have platform shoes with goldfish in the bottom of them.
Be rocking those.
Be rocking it. All right. So speaking of sponsors, let me tell you about Send Pro Online by Pitney Bowes. Send Pro Online is online software that helps you save time and money no matter what you send, letters, packages, overnights, or flats, and you'll always pay the right amount. It comes with a free 10-pound scale that weighs and calculates the rates for you. Plus, you can compare options between USPS, UPS, and FedEx right at your fingertips. And remember, folks, on January 27th, 2019, USPS postal rates are, that's right, they're going up. But just by using Send Pro Online, you get discounts of up to 40% off USPS priority mail shipping and get 5 cents off every letter you send. No additional equipment is required. Just jump on your computer and use your own printer to print shipping labels and stamps. Send Pro Online is only $14.99 a month, and eCommerce Minute listeners can get a free 30-day trial when you visit pb.com/minute. Send Pro Online. So as we were saying, we're going to try to do some new things this year, and with our new sponsorship, we're going to be rolling out some more shows. Just when you think you haven't had enough eCommerce Minute podcasting, we're going to bring you some extra supersized content and possibly doing some thematic shows like Tech Tuesday and Company Spotlights, which are very, very clever names, I know, but this is a work in progress. We're even kicking around the idea of some long format weekend shows and shows with special guests. We're also going to put up a separate Facebook page for the podcast. The hope is to create a community for our listeners. And because if I'm guessing correctly, many of our listeners would be eager to get show info announcements from just going to a Facebook page as opposed to checking the social medias and going on our website. We're not offended. I understand things. So it's going to be a pretty exciting year for the podcast. Don't you agree, Bart?
I do indeed, my friend. I think it's going to be a fun year. Last year was, I think we got in our groove finally type of thing. And,
I'll agree with that as I sip coffee live on the air.
Hey, man.
I'm sick, you know.
Need some tea, need some,
Yeah.
So should we talk about what we're thinking about next year for retail space and e-commerce space?
Yeah, let's briefly, because we know we did in our year-end wrap-up, we talked about some of these things, but let's look ahead to the year and some of our predictions.
Amazon.
So let's talk about Amazon. The big rumor is that Amazon would buy Target.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen that rumor go around for
It's been around for a while. The first time I saw it, my jaw dropped. And then the second time I saw it, I went, I guess that makes sense. Amazon has $30 billion of cash on hand at the end of Q3.
Yeah.
So I think and then we can get a bigger discussion about this, but there's becoming a backlash against Amazon because they're becoming monopolistic in every way. It's become like, you just buy it from Amazon. And it's squeezing out a lot of smaller businesses, and a lot of e-commerce businesses are in similar spaces are suffering as well. And to do this to retail now would be just like another nail in the coffin. So I don't know how I feel about this because let's face it, I'm a big Amazon user and I'm also a big Target user. So to give all my money to Jeff Bezos, that would be it for me. I'd be done. Just pay my cable bill to Jeff Bezos and I'd be done.
That's coming too.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting rumor just because, they're experimenting with the Go stores. They bought Whole Foods. So they're playing around with retail itself. And I mean, them buying Target's not a question.
Yeah, and you touched on some points there. Whole Foods, they just announced the other day that they're really going to expand Whole Foods, and I think it's from just they want everybody to be within 2 hours of delivery for Whole Foods, which is pretty ambitious. And we've seen a lot of positive feedback from the Amazon Go concept, which they're really going to roll out. They're heading towards airports, and they're going to do some small format stores. But there was one quote, the VP of technology for Amazon Go said, people are finding it incredibly comfortable to shop the store. We notice this in every city. There's this tentative hesitation when customers are about to leave because they think, can you really leave? Are we done? And it turns out they can, and they just walk out. And then what happens is, because this is a new and novel thing, they go and tell two friends, and they go tell two friends. So the novelty will wear off, but the ubiquity of it will set in. A 7-Eleven is testing a similar concept. There's also another company whose name escapes me. They are piloting cashierless stores to sell to other small retail chains. So in other words, you're a guy who's got a small chain of 5 little convenience stores. He could sell that technology to them. So I think that's going to be the cashierless store is just going to take off more this year.
Yeah, I think that if you look at it, Apple has this too. You just kind of scan your thing and you walk out, and we always freaked out at this. Like, this is the weirdest thing ever. You think you're stealing something.
It's funny. We always say that too. It's like Amazon Go, everybody's mind was blown, but I'm like, really kind of Apple sort of had this, but all you had to do is just walk up to the dude and say, I want to leave with this. And he goes, blink, and you're out the door.
Or you did it on your own on a phone by yourself. You don't have to even talk to the guy.
And everyone was so blown away by Amazon Go, and Apple's been doing it already. But I think it's not, it's not really the same thing, but it is. So let's talk about social commerce. I think this could be the year. I know we've been saying it for 2 years. Social commerce is going to really take off. We look at improvements by platforms like Facebook, and especially Instagram have made it easier for consumers to buy. And that's really where it should be, right? I mean, people use social media for discovery. Why not? Why make them leave? Keep them in the ecosystem.
By the way, Faceboard.
Faceboard. That's my new platform, Faceboard.com. It's a Facebook for skateboards.
Or hitting your head over the board.
Yeah, I wish someone would hit me over the head with a board right now. That'd probably be better.
It happens. So I think, chatbots, AI, all that stuff is just going to keep on getting more mature and more mature across the board. So we'll see where it ends up at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, because the technology and chatbots and AI have really become more reliable. It's not like, what size do you have? Hello, human. Would you like to look at sneaker? It's now almost gotten to the point where you can't really, unless you really, speaking of weird syntax, you can't, it's pretty natural language. And Narvar reports that 29% of consumers interact with chatbots when shopping online because of the personalized product recommendations and fast service they offer. Personalization, as we said, is going to be key this year. We said that in our year-end wrap-up, which you can listen to. That is episode. What was that episode? Oh, please. Please. 374. It was so long ago. 374 in a year-end wrap-up. And speaking of social commerce, we did a study way back in 2016, which you can find at socialcommercesurvey.com. You can download a free report. Some of the data obviously is out of date, but there are some good insights on social commerce. So if you want to go check that out, socialcommercesurvey.com, which, speaking of social commerce, bring us to Facebook. Facebook. I plucked Facebook out of all of these things because I think there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of the problem with Facebook is there's so many things connected to it. You're talking about a lot of stores, e-commerce stores have their sign-ins connected to Facebook. A lot of apps, there's a lot of that's connected to Facebook, and they've made it so easy for you to just get into anything using your Facebook. But what happens if Facebook starts to kind of come apart at the seams? That's troubling.
I mean, if you look at it, it's been troubling between privacy issues and politics and like the stats are people are leaving Facebook to leave their apps, but is that going to continue? I mean, older generation still has it because that's how they catch up with their family and stuff, but because it's so easy to do, right? instead of trying to set up, say Apple Photos. People will say, "Oh, Apple Photos would be easy to stream." Not everybody can do that. I'm sorry, but not everybody can do that, especially old generation. Right?
Yeah, and if you look at someone who's going, "Oh, I want to try this new platform," sign in with Facebook or create a user ID and a password. It's like you click the blue button because you're lazy, and that's just the nature of humans.
Yep.
But the problem is there's been a bit of an exodus from Facebook. There was a CNBC report. Nearly half of young users have deleted their app from their phone in the last year. That's half. The survey of more than 3,400 U.S. Facebook users find that 44% of users aged 18 to 29 have deleted the app from their phones in the past year. And 42% of the ones that have deleted, they've taken a break for several weeks or more. So they're leaving Facebook, but where are they going? They're going to WhatsApp, they're going to Instagram. Where else would they be going? Snapchat.
Well, the problem with Instagram, right? It's owned by Facebook, so all that data is still there, and Instagram's still the ruler.
Yeah, I don't think the common person looks at it that way, though. I know we look at it from a business side, but I don't think they think, I'm leaving Facebook, I'm going right to Instagram, and it's like, lol.
You never left.
Lol, you never left.
It's like going to a big ginormous party, but going, I'm leaving.
You just go to another room with the same party.
Right. Like you're in a VIP room. You're going, I'm leaving. All right.
I'm out of here.
I'm still here.
All right. So we could talk about the problems of Facebook, the New York Times investigation, and all the privacy issues.
We'll do that in another episode at some point.
Yeah, because it's a lot to unpack there, and I don't know. We have to keep an eye on it. So the other thing we need to keep an eye on is retail. I think the maker movement is here. The movement for curated experiences. We've done many shows about that. It'll give a shot in the arm of retailers who embrace the strategy because one, you're getting a more curated experience. There's more discovery, and you're kind of merging offline and online markets together. And that's a better experience than just the old Sears that was the anchor store.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're starting to see that world come up a lot more because you can see Walmart and Target and Macy's and all those, all kind of picking that idea up and doing in-store stuff and kind of expanding it.
Yeah. And I think there's a strong market for handcrafted and unique items. I think that's been a real resurgence because, frankly, I think people are tired of buying crap. Mm-hmm. The old saying is if you don't want manufacturers to make crap, then stop buying their crap. And I think this is one way to do it. And again, it comes down to quality and price points. If you build a store full of highfalutin, artisanal, small batch beard oil, you're not going to get many customers. But if you mix that with other things that are more approachable, unique, fun, I think it's a great combination, especially for the retail sector, which continues to be hurt by closures and vacancies and
everything else. Yep.
All right, we'll round this one out. We'll talk quickly about smart speakers. I think smart speakers are going to hit a critical mass because 2 years ago, only 21.5% of U.S. consumers owned a smart speaker. But today, Alexa alone by itself is in 31% of homes. And then, of course, you've got Google Home right behind that, and then everyone else.
And I would say that's probably an older stat because considering that Christmas is probably people got tons of these.
You know what? I stand corrected. You're exactly right. I bet you if I updated this stat in about 30 days, we're going to see closer to 50% overall of smart speakers.
Because somebody has them, and they're not only think about Alexa, right? But they're even Alexa or Google Home, any one of those are starting to get built to other speakers, right? Sonos has it built in, like all these other places already have stuff built in. So
yeah, that's a good point. Then you're going to see the Alexa technology and the Google technology built into other platforms. So voice isn't going away, kids.
It's just getting bigger and bigger. And the funny thing is we have, and I know I'm going to go on a little rant there, not rant, but we have them in my apartment and we use them for a lot of different things, right? It's funny traveling or going to like our parents' houses and not having them. It's a weird thing. You're like, because you're like, oh, I want to know the weather. You just speak, and we're so used.
Like, Alexa,
I'm so used to it. Yeah.
Alexa,
the two of us are so used to it now. Yeah.
And your mother turns and looks at you and goes, huh?
It's definitely it changes. It changes. And the beauty of it, like, we call from it. We actually use it a lot. And going somewhere and not having it is interesting.
Yeah, I totally agree. So we're going to see more of that. And speaking of voice, voice commerce. Sumo Heavy is going to put out a study on voice commerce probably within the next month. We're actually in the middle of building our new website, so we're kind of holding off of that until the launch. And we'll announce all that on the podcast for interested parties. You can come check that out. Like I said, we'll be rebuilding our website and making some announcements over the next 30 days about that. You can also look up anything about the podcast at ecommerceminute.co. Bart, any closing thoughts on the predictions for 2019?
Let's just have a good year.
Let's try to have a good year. I know there's some scaries out there. People talking about market correction, downturn, and the trade war thing. But let's just get out there and make some money, and we'll have a happy year.
What we do.
Do what we do. All right. That's the first episode of season 3. This is your e-commerce minute for today. We'll see you on the internet tomorrow and the rest of the year. Thanks, Bart.
Thanks, John.
That's it for today's show. If you like the show, do us a favor and subscribe or leave us a review on iTunes. And don't forget, you can now listen to the e-commerce minute on your Amazon device. Just add e-commerce minute to your flash briefing. And finally, if you have a comment or suggestion or just want to say hi, find us on social media at Sumo Heavy.